September, and it was just wild. And we were like, this is nuts. And it feels like when all the cars show up, Field of Dreams. Like, that's all I can say is that
that's an image right there.
that's
Yes,
exactly
yes.
what it felt like. And my husband and I are both like, this is crazy. This was the simplest idea.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan, where we interview ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. I'm your host, Cliff Duvenois. Once again, I'm up in God's country, the UP. I just can't seem to stay out of here. And it's absolutely wonderful, and the weather right now is absolutely gorgeous. One of the things that I love to do when I ever get around is I always find out like things that are like purely like locals. Like, where do the locals go? What do they like to do? And in working with the radio station up in Sault Ste. Marie, the bridge, 94.1, 95.1, is they turned me on to this market that seems to be happening up here, and this garden place. And I was like, yeah, let's go and talk to them because the locals really like it. So today I am sitting with Josh and Angela Fields from the Fields Farm and Garden. Josh, Angela, how are you?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
Good. Have I goofed? Because you're
No, you're doing
No.
great.
okay. Good.
Yeah.
So I will cut that out.
I was-
in post.
Cheering you on.
Yes. Thank you for that. So, Josh, Angela, if you would, why don't you just tell us what is Fields Farm and Garden?
Go ahead. So
It is a garden center. We grow perennials, annuals. We have kind of a farm too. We have chickens and ducks and turkeys and rabbits. What else do you have to add to it? And events. We do events
yeah.
too now.
yeah, we hope to expand and do other stuff in the future.
hmm
So that's
We want to do more seasonal events.
yeah.
Right. So how big is the farm?
40. Well, if my son was here, he would tell you it's 43 acres. He's
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. On the dot. Okay, great. So if you would, Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're from? Where did you grow up?
I'm originally from San Diego, and then lived there for most of my life. And then right after 9/11, a couple years after that, I decided to join the Coast Guard. And then we've been all over the country. I was stationed in, I went up to Kodiak, Alaska. I was stationed on the Alex Haley.
Right.
And then I went to my specialty school. And then I got stationed in Astoria, Oregon on the Coast Guard Cutter Steadfast. And then I went back to Kodiak, Alaska. And then I got married in Kodiak, Alaska. And then we went to Jersey. Well, I was stationed in Staten Island, I should say. Then we moved to Jersey and then came here. Am I missing anything? I feel like I'm missing a place.
I don't know.
So
I
you've
think
been all
that's it.
over.
Oh, no. And I was stationed back in San Diego.
So let me ask
Yeah.
you this question.
Yeah.
Why the Coast Guard?
I think growing up in San Diego,
Right there in the water?
right out there on the water, me and my uncles actually got rescued by the Coast Guard one time. My uncle had this old wooden boat. It was like the SS Minnow.
Right.
It was wooden and the engine died and we drifted. I mean, we were in North County and we drifted and finally we flagged down a sailboat and they're like, do you guys realize how far you drifted? And I was like 10 years old.
Right.
And I just remember the Coast Guard coming up and it was an 87 and their line that to tow us back was so heavy that it was kind of pulling the boat underneath the water. And
Oh
I
my
just- Yeah,
goodness.
it was the craziest thing. So then, and then obviously San Diego, not obviously, but I surf. So I thought, well, Coast Guard's always near water, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I'll go everywhere there's surf, and so, yeah, and that's what led me to the Coast Guard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Angela, why don't you tell us where you're from? Where did you grow up?
I'm from Western Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's near a little place called Indiana, Pennsylvania, which there's a university there. Usually people know it by that. And so I lived there till I was about 25. And then I've been kind of the same. I've been all over the country. And yeah, before we started this, I designed kitchens. So it's kind of like a
Oh.
far cry from growing plants, but yeah, so
So you didn't want to get your own show on HGTV.
oh my gosh.
You didn't want to do like Chip and Joanna Gaines, right?
I do love that stuff, but I don't know. I guess we just didn't know. I stayed at home with the kids, and I was really fortunate that I could do that and be able to in this day and age stay at home and and be able to survive like that. And so we did that for 8 years, and I loved every minute of it, actually.
Cool. So you're jumping all over the U.S., Josh. You're going here, there, everywhere. You're designing kitchens, and somehow you met in Alaska?
Actually, I was in Tennessee at the time, and he
Oh, this
was,
gets even better.
Yeah.
yes. So I was in Tennessee, and he was in San Diego, and I was on a dating app. And
You live to tell the tale.
well, it's funny too because it was set for local. So how we cross paths is kind of a miracle, you know? So he flew to Nashville and I picked him up and we met because he wanted to meet me before
Wait,
he moved.
she winked at me first, though.
He says it
so.
was me, but I don't know. But so we met and he wanted to meet me because he was moving to Alaska and he wanted to see because we were on the phone and staying up talking all night. So he's like, "Well, I have to meet you in person before I go to Alaska." And we hit it off. And so he moves to Alaska and then we did the long distance from Tennessee to Alaska for a year and a half before I moved to Kodiak.
So that must have been a huge change for you. I mean, Tennessee to Alaska?
Yeah, and I was so excited. I mean, when I was a kid growing up in Western Pennsylvania, we'd get snow and the cold weather, and Tennessee is hot and it gets cold, but you don't get snow or
Right.
a dusting. But yes, I was so excited, and it was like the biggest adventure. The only way, if you've never been to Alaska, I always say it gets in your blood, and I feel like I lived lifetimes of adventures there, if that makes sense. I can't even explain it.
Right. Well, it is Alaska.
Yes,
Yeah.
the last frontier.
So now, so you guys so you moved to Alaska,
Yes.
and if I understand it correctly, you actually went back down to San Diego?
No. I screwed up that part. San Diego and then Kodiak, and then from Kodiak I did 2 tours in Kodiak.
Right.
Three tours, actually.
Yeah, but so we did 6 years, and then I went to Staten Island, and we
Gotcha.
moved. Yeah, and
Okay.
then
So then what brought you to Sault Ste. Marie?
So it's kind of funny because originally when we were in Alaska, we were like, where we lived in Alaska, we didn't get a lot of snow, which sounds funny. We'd get like 90 inches of rain a year. So we wanted to go somewhere snowy. And Josh was like, look at this place. Doesn't this look so awesome? And in my dream, like, give me 10 feet of snow. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
I want
yeah,
to climb
yeah.
out the top window to get outside.
Yes.
And so we had,
someone's got to plow that.
so we, logistics. So we actually had orders up here and we were super excited because in the Coast Guard, and any Coast Guard that hear this, they will know there's certain places if you put on the list that are like, I don't want to say the non-desirables, but like Alaska's one. A lot of people don't want to go to Alaska. A lot of people don't want to go to Sault Ste. Marie unless you're an outdoorsy and you want that.
Yeah.
And so we got our orders up here and we were super excited. We were looking at houses and then he got promoted, which was fantastic, but then they give you a short list. And so we picked Staten Island, which is really crazy going from Alaska and to Staten Island. But we lived in Jersey and we were close to family and it was the best with small children.
Well,
and being
out of the
close to
5, it
family.
was out of the 5, that was one of the best choices. There was Hawaii, and I was trying to get to Hawaii, but
I mean, I regret Hawaii from time to time, but
not going to Hawaii.
what do you do?
Ooh, I've never heard Hawaii and regret in the same sentence before.
I mean, I regret not going because I think it would have been neat, but
Right.
but being near family,
Yeah.
even if it was for a short amount of time, because the flights from Alaska to Pennsylvania, that's where most of my family is still. It'd be like 24 hours of flying.
Yes.
And, you know, my son started doing that trip when he was 4 months old. And so then when we were moving to New Jersey, I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter. So we're like, this is a lot with
Yeah.
2 small children and trying to get back and forth to see everybody. And so we picked Staten Island and we ended up loving it. We were near the near the Pinelands, near the beach. Going to the boardwalk every Friday night. It was kind of dreamy. It's not what
yeah.
people think of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you think of Jersey, you think of. I think a lot of people automatically
Gym,
assume.
tan, laundry.
Well, yeah, but you assume like New York, right? You picture New York and skyscrapers and stuff, but there was horse farms, and it was just a totally different. We loved it.
Yeah.
we loved it. But
So then how we got here though, so we thought they would let him retire in Jersey
Right.
because he only had 2 years. And, instead of, oh, you're going to move us and back and forth, we thought they let us stay. Usually in the military, if you think they're going to let you do something, it's not, it's the opposite.
Right.
So then when we were like, do we want to do this? So actually, the Sioux wasn't our top choice that time because we were like, man, we want to stay close to family if we can.
Sure.
So it was down there, a few on the list. We're trying to stay close to family, but so we got the Sioux and we were like, man, it was so bittersweet. We loved our community in New Jersey. And so we were like, okay, we're going to the Sioux. We got what we wanted, just not, it was not our timing. It was
Right.
definitely God's timing. And sorry, I'm not trying to be emotional, but it's crazy. It's just a crazy.
No, the more you cry, the bigger the chance I get an Emmy. So please do.
So then we were looking for houses and we were in New Jersey. We do that every time. I swear we bought our house when we were in Alaska, driving across the country.
Right.
We were trying to get a house for Jersey. So then we did the same thing, coming up here looking for a house remotely, which is not fun. So then we came up here and that's how we ended here. And then we loved this property and did not plan on doing anything like this.
Right. But here you are.
Here we are.
So I guess the golden question is, because I mean, you're talking like this is a lot of acreage. You guys are doing plants. I'm going to assume that at some point in time, maybe with your kitchen design, that you're just like loving plants and that whole yard. Or is this something where you just, when you moved here, you're like, let's grow plants, and you just went to Home Depot and bought a bunch of seeds?
So the original greenhouses were put here, I think 22 years ago around.
Oh, okay.
So when we moved here, we were from out of state, so we didn't really know anything about it. And we looked at it and we could see potential in doing things that we wanted to do, but really we wanted space for the kids. And that was it. So everywhere we went in town, they were like, "Oh my goodness, you bought that property. What are you going to do?" And we're like, "Well, we don't know. We just wanted space for the kids." Like that was.
Yeah, we thought we were going to grow our own vegetables
Yes.
inside and just do our own thing, And
Oh, right. Go off the grid. Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
a lot of people were just were sad to see that this old business was going because we didn't buy the business. We bought the property.
Right.
So they were just sad to see it. And they were like, oh, we used to go there. We've been going there forever, and you're just like, oh. And then one day, 2 years ago in October, we were like, looked at each other and said, hey, do you want to try to do this? And we were like,
And so we got with two of the employees that had worked for them previously and just said, is this something you want to keep doing? Because if it is, we'll do it, but we have no idea what we're doing. It's literally
Oh, I'm loving this story more and more.
it was literally the conversation, like, and that's what we did. So we were way behind because, I mean, it's a lot, and I'm glad we paid attention because just the ordering and all the things you need to do, and it's crazy. I mean, they say, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I feel like in this business, it's like at least 10 things a day, if not more. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we didn't really even become a business till January 2023. I'm like, I don't know what year it is, but it's fine.
So somehow you managed to survive.
We did. The first year was really funny too because, you had people coming in that were like, oh, I didn't even know, that it was closing down. And so some people just showed up here from years and years of just showing up. And
Right.
then it was like, then they were like, oh, this is different. And we were learning stuff and we were meeting all these amazing customers, and the support from the community it was just amazing, And that's the one thing in the military is every time you move, you're never there long enough to have that sense of community.
Right.
And I think,
yes.
and here, yeah, I'm about to tear up again, but I think that was the thing too, that we were so excited to be somewhere that you felt like you were part of something.
Right.
And so even though we had no idea we were going to do this or grow plants, here we are.
It's one of the things I found with being up here in Sault Ste. Marie and talking to so many people that are in the area is they place a high value on investing in the local community. A lot of other places, it's like, it's a good thing to do, and if you can do it, that's great.
Yeah.
But here, it's like almost priority number one.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe because like how rural it is, and then like maybe the upbringing. Because if our neighbors are in their 90s next door, and they're like they were helping me last year do stuff, and I needed to take a break, and these 90-year-old guys are like still going, and I'm like,
Running circles around
right,
you.
and I can't slow down because they're and I think it's just
Yeah.
that like because they're
Here's a
locals,
new neighbor. Bake 'em
right.
a pie.
Well, no, that they had to work together, right?
Right.
It's like the Amish community, right? They all kind of work together, and so they can survive together. And that's like our neighbors behind us. Like we ask, we'll need help, and they'll come in and not want anything for it. And you're like, no, please, I took your time. Please let me pay you. And they don't want it. And you're just like, I don't know. It's just a weird. It's not weird. It's a great community. I wish everybody in America could
Did
feel
that.
that.
Yes.
Yes,
True.
I think our country would be so much better if they had a Sault Ste. Marie or Chippewa County or the UP, because
Bruce Township.
Bruce Township.
Yeah.
Because it's just like I said, it's coming from San Diego. You didn't really have that, right? So
That's right.
you didn't, and a lot of people don't have that, and so it's kind of weird to get used to people saying, "No, I'm just doing this because I'm your neighbor."
Right.
It's hard. It's hard to figure that
Yeah.
out.
And I think too, for us, that we wanted to, all the things that we have with our kids seen around the country that we love to do, to take the kids to do
Right.
certain things that there wasn't here.
Okay.
And so then it was like, what can we bring here that isn't here? Does that make sense? Sir?
Mhm.
So when you started the business, you got it up and running. Why don't you talk to us like maybe about one of those one or two key challenges that you had? Because you said you didn't know anything.
No.
So was there ever a point in time where you're just like something like hit you like out of left field?
Doing a I feel like a big one was for us,
Learning what to learn.
that, and for instance, like we did the flowers for Mack Island, the governor's mansion.
Oh,
And
wow.
and so and they had done some of their flowers in the past, like the previous business.
Right.
And so, they were a little bit familiar, like my employees. But then for me, I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to screw this up. Like, this is big.
That's a big opportunity.
And so that was really kind of one of those things that was so stressful to me, because I was learning, like, what all we needed to do and when we had to have it in by and all this stuff. And so it was very intimidating. I've had a lot of those moments where I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
So how do you get through that?
I really just tried to take the advice of my employees that knew more than I did,
Right.
and try to embrace it. You know what I mean? And I don't know what it is too when you start a new job, and I always feel like that's when I do the best, because you're doing research and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but let me see if I can look it up. And that's when the internet's a great resource too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Am I watering this too much? What am I doing? What am I doing wrong?
Nice. For our audience, we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk with Josh and Angela all about this great place and what you can expect when you come here. We'll see you after the break. Hey, if you are enjoying these great interviews, just take a moment and go to totalmichigan.com/join, and you can get these episodes sent directly to your inbox, because there's a lot more great stories coming. See you there. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan, where we interview ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. I'm your host, Cliff Dubenois. Today, we're talking to Josh and Angela Fields and their long, windy road to wind up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and we're all the better for it. So, Josh, Angela, before the break, we were talking about how you landed here in Sault Ste. Marie, the area, Bruce Township.
Yes.
Is that what you call it? Yes, Bruce Township. The community is like really embracing you. They're excited that this once thriving business that was here, you now have taken it over and you're kind of running it yourself. What I would like to do is I'd like to spend some time, because one of the reasons why that this whole fell on my radar is because of the full moon market that you started putting on here. So first off, why don't you tell us, what is the full moon market?
So what we do is once a month on the full moon, well, at least weather permitting, so May to September, October, we put on a market. We're open for business usually it's from 7 to 10 p.m. Last night we changed it because we had some people coming They couldn't usually be here, so we changed the time. But what we do is we have about 40 vendors set up in the parking lot, and we've had 2 food trucks lately and live music. And we
That
all
is
just,
amazing.
it's just like it feels like a festival. Like,
So much fun.
yeah, it's magical is the only way you can put it. And I think people feel that same thing.
So then how many people show up? Because you're talking about 40 vendors, you got 2 food trucks,
To the point where like the food trucks
couldn't
run,
keep up.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. We need to keep track one of these days, but there was about I think 900 people interested for last night's event. And so, I mean, we had 2 parking lots full, and then still there was overflow on the road. So, I mean, I would feel like well over 1,000 people.
That is amazing. And it's not only people from the area. You were telling me that they're coming over from Canada.
Yes, tons
Yeah.
of Canadians, which
Yeah.
is neat.
Which is cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
please come spend your
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah.
Please, we appreciate that. So let me ask you this question. Let's take a step back here because this is amazing. I'm loving this. Where did the idea to do this come from? I mean, because you said you came in here, you had no idea how to run a
No.
business, anything else.
No.
So where did this come from?
So one night I was watering. It was one of those nights where there was just still stuff to do. And I was in the other greenhouse and it was dark out and I had the lights on. And it's just magical. I don't know. Everything looks a little bit nicer at nighttime.
The glow.
I don't
the
see
glow
the
of these
weeds
lights
and
are-
everything. So I was thinking, man, we should do something like once a month and just be open for business and invite vendors if they want to come out. And I'm not into a lot of the craft shows just because that's not something we normally do. So I really wasn't even sure what I was doing.
Right.
So then we just said, hey, the first one we did was last July last year, 23. And it was like the day before the 4th of July. And I said, this stinks, this full moon, but let's just try it. Let's just do it. And it was still very successful. Not what it is today, but I thought, man, a lot of people showed up for this on the day before the 4th of July. Like this, it's kind of crazy with the holiday. And so we just kept doing them every month. And August last year, we had 2 in 1 month. And so there was a blue moon. So there was 2
Oh, there
full
you go.
moons.
Yes, yes.
Sorry. And then last year we ended in September and it was just wild. And we were like, this is nuts. And it feels like when all the cars show up, Field of Dreams. Like that's all I can say.
Oh,
Is that-
that's an image right there.
That's
Yes,
exactly
yes.
what it felt like. And my husband and I are both like, this is crazy. This was the simplest idea.
And it's just a steady stream. It's like on the dot. Everybody just starts because we let the vendors come and they set up early, and then it's almost like clockwork, and they just start coming, and you're just like, okay, are we ready to like shoot people down to the garage so they can park, and then start going to the field, and then we have people down at the garage saying, okay, there's no more parking, so then you start sending them
Because
to
we're
the
also
field.
the parking attendants.
Yes.
The 2 of us.
Yeah,
so
and your
it's-
2 employees.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the
yes.
team of 4 are
Yes.
handling 1,000 people. That's
Yes.
amazing.
And last night, one of my employees was sick. So it was just the 3 of us. But we did it.
Oh, that is great. So I'm loving this. So now, so people come here. It's like with vendors. Are you, do you charge? Is it just please just come out? Do you charge admission to get in here? How does that work?
Well, last year when we were like, we don't know what's going to happen with this, we did not charge anyone, no vendors. But then it was, so successful. And my mom's like, you need to charge, even if it's a small amount, because the amount of work to set it up,
It's a lot.
it's like it's like its own full-time job. And I'm like, am I crazy? Because I also homeschool my kids.
Right.
And we're running the business. And you're like, this is nuts. So we started charging this year $20 a vendor. And then we do not charge admission. So there's no admission, no parking fees or anything. So it's just the vendor fee, and then everybody makes money. All our vendors make money. Actually, the first one we did, it got busy in the greenhouse, and I was so nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't why we did this.
Right.
We did this to support all these other businesses. And so we walked around to all the vendors and we were like, did you guys do well? Because we were kind of nervous.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they were all so happy, and they were like, we did great. And so I said, okay, like everybody's winning. That's what we want.
Right.
So
So
here we are.
Let's go back to the very first one. So you had this idea. You're like,
Yes.
let's do it. If people come here, got cars here, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We'll just invite some vendors. So first off, How many vendors do you think showed up to that first event?
I
Handful.
I bet
It wasn't-
no, I bet you 20.
Yeah.
I would
20?
say
Okay,
20.
that's still a good
And
number.
no food truck. Last year I spent, because we do a Mother's Day event too and some other stuff. I tried all year. From the time we very first started, I was like, could not get a food truck to save my life. No one wanted to come out here. They wanted to know exactly how many people were going to be here. They wanted all these numbers. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't have
You
them.
know, and that's understandable, right? You need to know how much food and all
Correct,
that stuff.
yes.
But we
Yep.
were just like, we have no idea. I don't know what to tell you. You know, like we wish we could, but
So we did everything ourselves for all our other events. We grilled out and we did stuff like that, or we worked with a bakery in Newberry and brought stuff in just to have food there because we couldn't get someone
Right.
to come out.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that first one though, no food truck. We had, I think, lemonade and popcorn, and my kids always have to do a little lemonade stand and like no baked cookies.
Little entrepreneurs and
Yes,
training there.
yes.
Yes.
So they have money to spend at the market, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, so it was small, but it was still, I still felt like it was successful though.
How many people do you think showed up that night?
I bet you that first one, 300 people or so.
yeah.
Around there. I
Yeah.
would say about 300.
Were you surprised that many people showed up?
Well, we were, because sometimes in this business, like Mother's Day for a greenhouse is the biggest day of the year.
Right.
That weekend is the biggest.
Everybody wants to buy a plant for mom.
Yes. And so we do an event for Mother's Day, and that's always a hit. But then some of our other, like we do things at Memorial Day, and we donated to some charities with our proceeds from those weekends. But you don't have that. You don't have that turnout for those. You know,
Right.
people are doing other things. And so we just didn't really know if it was going to be like a Mother's Day event or if it was going to be like something else. You know what I
Right.
mean? That didn't do as well. So, yeah, it's been crazy.
So
From the
now I'll
beginning.
ask you, because we were talking before about how like you just did an event not too long ago,
Mm-hmm.
and like you had over 1,000 people. Did you ever think that this would ever become something so huge?
No.
No, we're still like, we go out there and we're just like, oh my gosh, like what has this turned into? And it just
we're
blows
like-
your expectations. And it's like,
And it's funny too, because it's like, these are the things that we love, but we were like, we didn't know if people would be.
yeah. And it's just the atmosphere too. And you feel so thankful that, you know, like these vendors who are just like us, right? Trying to make money and do
Small
stuff.
business owners,
Right.
and
You know,
yes,
and
yep.
and they're doing good. And then they're chomping at the bit to come next, our next full moon market. And just everybody's happy and smiling. And it's just like,
Yeah,
it's,
you usually go to like a fair, and it's just they just don't.
it's
They
just a
look kind of
different,
meh.
yeah.
And so when people are here, it's like you can't stop smiling.
Even our vendors have said that it feels like a social gathering
yeah, it's
more
not
than
like
like a market, and it's
Right.
that's amazing
but
to me.
everybody does really well. I don't know, it's mind-boggling. I don't know. I had a moment with one of my vendors last night because it's like I feel the dream. Like I'm not the 9 to 5er. I've never felt like I was that person to go to college and do a certain like boxed in. It's like I never really knew what I wanted to do. I went to
Right.
art school for a while,
Right.
and maybe that's where some of this comes from. That's what my mom would tell you. But I just said, I get it. I know these people, these vendors that are coming out, that they want something different out of life. They don't want to live in that boxed in, there's no rules.
Right.
And I tell my employees that, because sometimes it's like when we want to do something different, I'm like, there's no rules. We don't have to do something the way these people do. We're a box
Yes.
store. We're not that. And so I think that even though we're not really like the craft show people, like I get it. And I think that's also been part of it. Like I just appreciate them so much. I don't know. I told them last night, and we were like teary-eyed together, and I was like, we couldn't do this without you. This wouldn't exist. You know what I mean? So they're supporting us as much as we're supporting them.
What I'm loving here is this recurring theme of the fact that you guys just kind of like jump,
We do.
right? You don't have a parachute, you don't have an airplane.
No.
You're just
Yeah.
jump. We'll figure it out on the way down, right? And I'm loving this attitude of let's just try it.
Yeah. I think that's, I want to say the military. I watched The Burbs way too many times. I was going to say the military way saves the day. I feel like when you are in the military, or you are a spouse or a military child, and not just military, but I see it in a lot of our military friends and family, is that you don't have a choice. they give you this, you have 4 years here, you have 5 years here, whatever it is, and then you move and you start over,
Right.
and you just have to do it. And so I think that you just start embracing it like a wildflower, like you grow where you're planted. And that's that's what we do.
So
She's the My wife is like the hardest working person I know.
So
Um,
you're really trying to get him that Emmy.
no, it's I don't know how she does it. I mean,
Funny.
she's the boss. She runs this place and does the ordering, and I just do what I'm told, and and she takes care of the house. She homeschools our kids, and I don't know. I'm
now you're
super
going to make me cry.
no, I'm just super impressed with her, and I don't think that. Yeah, I am.
So, well, thank you. It's nice to hear once in a while. No.
All right. So before I start to cry, let me ask you this question. So if somebody's coming here, they've never like been here before, whatever it is, what would be some of the things that they would think about? Because you're growing these plants. This place looks beautiful, by the way. So when they come in here, what are some things that they should be like thinking about?
Well, first of all, it's whether they have,
Sun or
I'm going to
shade?
say it, sun or shade. You come and tell me if you have sun or shade before I tell you what plants you should choose. No, when you come in, we always make it fun. We try to have the popcorn machine going. So then when I have customers coming in, especially the new ones, the kids love the popcorn and it keeps the parents, gives them a little bit more time to shop. So what we do on our normal, I want to say our 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 is what our
9 to
normal
6.
hours are. So we have throughout the year, we open at the end of April, and then we have annuals, perennials. We do a lot of hanging baskets. And fruit trees. So in our normal life, we just sell plants and help people make their dream gardens.
Right.
And we really push that anybody can garden because the one thing about gardening that we have known since in our short time is that when you first start, it's very intimidating. So you get your gardeners that know what they need and know what they're doing, and they come out and get their stuff. And so then I really keep trying to reach the people that want the pretty garden, but don't know how to get the pretty garden.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And so when people are coming out, we try to really help them pick what's right for their situation, sun or shade.
Right. Sun or shade.
Well, and when you start looking into plants and like what you want, and you open up the catalog or go online, and you're just like, oh my gosh,
It's
there is
overwhelming.
like a gazillion things that you can, go for. And, some of these plants that you look at and you're like, that doesn't look like it should be up here. It looks like it should be in the Amazon rainforest, or we have like hibiscus, and
Mhm.
nobody thinks like, oh, hibiscus up in the UP,
Yes.
and
Right.
it's just,
Yes.
it's just a cool thing. And we like doing off the wall
Yeah, we try
weird
to get
stuff.
unique plants because everybody does
People love that stuff.
the same thing. So we keep trying to find unique stuff and bringing that in. We carry in the summer and fall, we always have veggies from our Amish neighbors, and we have local honey. So we have some other little merchandise things too.
So a little retail section.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
eventually we want to have like a little country store. The
Oh, how cute.
the dream really is we want our customers to be able to come out if you need to buy plants, or what we would really love. Maybe have a little coffee shop, get a coffee, come and walk around the gardens, read a book. Just enjoy this little slice of heaven.
Like
Yes.
a hangout spot.
Yes.
If you want to just come and just
Yeah, we
like
just so that's
Ooh.
like the goal, a couple botanical gardens,
Well,
Attract-
sounds like I'm
baby
going to have
steps.
to come back.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, when
yeah.
that's all ready.
Awesome. And if somebody is listening to this and they want to come and check you out, see what it is that you're doing, find you, maybe connect with you online, what would be the best way for them to do that?
You can follow us at Fields Farm and Garden on Facebook and Instagram. We don't have a website yet, but one of these days we'll have that together. And we're open yearly, usually the end of April through September to October. And that is Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 6 and 12 to 4 on Sunday. Into the fall, it is by appointment, or we'll probably still do some events after we close end of September. I'm thinking one more full moon market if anybody's hearing this, as long as the weather participates.
Check the
And
Facebook page.
Yes,
Yeah. Yes.
yes. We do all of our events. We do a lot of our marketing through Facebook. And eventually we want to do more fall stuff and sleigh rides, but we're trying to pace ourselves.
Right.
It's hard to plow this big property with just a push snow blower. So
I don't even want to envision that. Josh, Angela, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today. Really
Thanks.
appreciate that.
yeah, this was
Thank
fun.
you. Yeah,
Thanks
it was
for coming.
great.
Awesome. And for audience, you can always roll on over to totalmichigan.com, click on Josh and Angela's interview, and get the links that they mentioned above. We'll see you next time when we talk to another Michigander doing some pretty extraordinary things. We'll see you then.